Mm-mm. All right, getting going. Let's see, got to make sure that we're actually working today. Get this all finished and set up here. Hey, how's it going? Chicken legs and ankles. I like your name. That's pretty funny. Cool. So it looks like it's working. I think I get a notification in my email technically if it goes live correctly. So, hey Brian, how's it going? I'm just gonna double check. Maybe it comes in a little later. Can you guys hear me fine? I'm still, I've got one thing I want to set up just in case we want to like brainstorm some product ideas or whatever. Hey, from Los Angeles, that's awesome. Mission Off-Road. Do you watch Matt's Off-Road Recovery? I sure do like that channel. I enjoy watching him pull some vehicles out from the mountains. That's kind of cool. Juicy, isn't it? Yeah. It should be chicken fried legs and ankles. Cool. All right, let me quick do this here. And what I'm trying to do is get a application to show window capture, and we'll do Chrome, Google Chrome. I think that's what we want. Blam. And don't worry, that's not my IP address. That is an IP address for my device that you have to be locally for. And I can move this way. Get out of the way. I wonder if I can like crop it. That'd be kind of cool. Either way. Tell us about your setups. It's really good. So like camera and stuff, is that what you're curious about? Today, I'll definitely answer that question. Just let me know in the chat there. Today, I want to just kind of open the floor like we do always for any questions that anybody has. And then I just thought of another kind of product idea that I had, when was it? I've had for a while, but I thought of a twist on it, and I kind of want to brainstorm that product as we go through questions today. Let's see here. But I might as well answer chicken on legs. I'm going to assume you're talking about the camera setup. So I have the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, which is in the description of my YouTube videos typically. That's what's here, and you can use it as a webcam, which is super nice. As you can see, it looks good. And then I've got a softbox filter that maybe you can see here. It's not a big one, but I've got a small space. So those two things, and then this little guy here comes with the creator combo. So it's kind of an all-in-one setup, and you know, makes it really easy. I have a nice, I don't want to say nicer, but a big camera up there. And I used to have like mics and stuff for it, but I'll tell you what, I like kind of followed the Casey Neistat like vlog setup. It's just a lot of work, honestly, but a little bit too much. Brian says, you know of a good vendor for catch overflow production. Small businesses over here are a little afraid of times where I get swamped with orders, vacations, etc. Brian, I think maybe it was you who reached out, but I am one of those people who do overflow production. I have more details that will come out in the next like month or so as I can, doing some overflow production or partnerships with people actually from the EU to essentially avoid tariffs, to be frank, but that was not the intention, because we had I was working and having discussions with this guy before the whole tariff situation stuff started. So it was just kind of good timing. But I am doing manufacturing runs and production overflow. So if you want to chat about that and I haven't responded to you, shoot me an email. The email is in my channel bio, and we can have a discussion about that. How many listings should Etsy stores have up when it first launches a 3D product printing product business? Probably as many as you can afford to do. And when I say afford to do, as in time, but I started with one. So don't stress yourself out. If it doesn't sell right away, that's okay. Etsy goes through like waves of weirdness with customers. One of those is right now, and everyone talks about the algorithm. But yeah, I would say just start with a product you like, and if it doesn't sell, just start working on the next one. And even if it does sell, just start working on the next product. It shouldn't be too complicated. Octo, hello from Holland. Nice. Tulip time over in Holland there. Yeah, we like Holland. Holland's a nice place. Definitely like the lakeshore. My wife and I usually go down to Saugatuck, a little south of there for the beach, because we like the sand dunes over in that area. Barbara, nice to have you. All right, so as questions come in, I'll watch it. Let me talk about a product idea that I had. So something I sell and regularly use myself is my little tape dispensers. I'm a little out of focus, aren't I? But I have little tape dispensers that, I'm gonna get out of the way, hold on, sorry, everything's in reverse. There. Tape dispenser mounts, which are really handy for taking like the Scotch tape roll off and slapping it on the side, and then I can just use it on the wall. But I had somebody ask me, can you make one of those for tape rolls that are this big? And at the time, I just had the A1 minis. It was really not doable. You could also do painter's tape and stuff. And then even once I started designing that product, another issue I ran into is to actually make a wall-mounted paper roll holder for this. It becomes difficult to compete on price unless it's very unique. So the unique twist that I'm thinking about is with this type of packaging, it would be nice to be able to pull it off the wall and just rip it, so do it all with one hand. But it would also be nice to be able to take that whole unit off the wall and then use it like, a typical box packaging thing where you kind of like wrap it around the box. Because I have some bigger boxes that I get in that are basically the size of the P1S bed size. So they're 10 inches by 10 inches by 6 inches. So for those, you kind of want to just have the tape roll in your hand. So the product that I'm thinking of is a combo grab and hold and pull and rip, if that makes sense. And then you can just slap that on the wall to do it single-handed when you're not using it. So I don't know if that actually exists, but again, it's one of those things where I'm not sure I want to do the research yet, because I can try to come up with some creative ideas on my own first before doing that. Got some more questions here. John, are you handling the product overflow sales and leads, or using another service? I've been thinking about taking on something like that for smaller makers. I am not doing anything with sales. I am doing production, assembly, if there's assembly needed, and also it's not like I'll do any assembly. So like the partners that I have that I'm working with, we discuss the products that make sense for me to do and I even want to do. And then for those products, we come up with what components are needed, how much time does assembly take, and all that jazz. But from there, I print, assemble, pack, and ship direct to the customer. For other people, I am doing printing, packing, and shipping to them, and then they manage this stuff. But I'm not doing any of the customer-facing stuff for other people. I'm not doing any of the sales stuff. That is all their responsibility, and the advertising and marketing is also their responsibility, unless something is discussed. Mission Off-Road, my core products will be single color, but I think I have some ideas for multicolor seasonal products. Yes, I am starting to dabble in color options a little bit, but eventually, it's a little overkill, but eventually it'd be nice to have go to Bamboo's website or wherever you buy your filament, and then just buy like 5 and have 5 rolls of that color minimum in stock at all times. That would be really handy. Don't know if I should buy the AMS now or after I make money. Mission Off-Road, are you making sales currently? That would be a good starting question, is how many of the sales are coming in. Chicken legs and ankles. Too many SKUs come with its own challenges, though. I got 2 products and it's already too much to organize and manage. Interesting. It is. I've had my parents, I went on vacation last year in the spring, and I had my parents help me out with packing and shipping orders. I prepped all the products, And I just said, all you have to do is go into my Etsy account and like fulfill the orders, answer any questions from people. And that was stressful to set that up because I had several products at the time. So yeah, being able to pass that on to somebody else, definitely a challenge. But I think for me, I'm up to 14 or 15 physical products on my Etsy shop. I just put a couple more up today, and one of them I actually need to do some different photos for. It's not too bad. You just have to have organization on the file size. And then if you have to reslice and upload files every time, you might want to account that into your like cost of the product. I don't at the moment, so that's something I could look into doing, but I don't need to at the moment. Do you have any tips with social media marketing? I've been posting consistently, trying to advertise my shop, and I've been stuck at 39 followers for some reason. I think people are really easily able to cut through your intentions with social media. So if your intention is I want just to sell you this product, they're going to see that and they'll probably not want to engage with your content. So when posting about your brand or about your products that you have on social media, try to find a different angle of value that you could bring to them. And just also know that I am saying this out of understanding, not necessarily practicing all the time. But if you can bring them value that makes them want to engage with you and to build that relationship with a potential customer, then I think the sale becomes a lot easier if they see your stuff and they like what you have to do. So that would be my advice, is if you strictly go from a buy perspective, you're not going to get traction, probably. And if you want to go that approach, then you're probably going to have to spend money in advertising. And advertising right now, especially in the US market, is tricky because of the economy. So yeah, I would say my YouTube channel is maybe a good example of that, because like I've talked about before, like 99% of you guys are not my customers. I'm doing this because this is the info I wanted to know when I was starting a business. And this is the value piece, right? Like, I think people like my channel, surprisingly, I guess, but I think they like my channel because I'm providing the value to them without asking anything of you guys. So I suppose that's why it works. But the payoff of that is, on my side, at least with the YouTube channel, is I have had some sales come in and actually have found some really good partnerships through the people that I've met through YouTube, or have found me through YouTube. Buy EMS Now combo pack is cheaper. Yeah, so Martin has a good good advice there. The AMS is way cheaper if you buy it as the combo pack. You won't regret it. And even if you're doing single color prints, it helps you use up all of your filament. I've seen so many other channels that don't use the AMS units, and they throw away the last, I don't know, 50 grams of their filament, because they just can't use it up, I guess. And I can understand that. I end up doing that sometimes too, but as much as I can, I try to use the whole spool of filament, and the AMS unit will automatically change and continue printing on a second spool, which allows you to use it up. So I think it's worth the purchase, and it unlocks some creative doors too once you start messing around with it. Nephrology on demand. What tutorial textbook do you recommend to learn how to use CAD? I use Onshape and I'm learning online, but I'd love a structured approach. Ironically, you're talking to the wrong guy for that kind of question. My answer is YouTube, and my answer is always unstructured. I actually don't necessarily thrive in a structured environment. So that's a little bit maybe about me, but honestly, YouTube has some great tutorials. What I found works best to learn anything is you have to enjoy what you're doing. And what I mean by that is pick a project that you personally like and personally are vested in, and try to design it. Even if it feels maybe a little bit too complicated as a first project, just take a stab at it. And if you fail, know that you're making gains along the way. But the worst thing I can do is tell you to go follow a textbook with a bunch of really boring examples that aren't going to have any real application to you, and then you're going to kind of get bored with it. So pick a project you want to do, and then start from there. That's my advice. And YouTube, again, is the best place to look. Yeah, chicken legs and ankles. If you have a lot of SKUs, on demand is harder. I'm not there yet, but I would like to eventually get to a point once I know which items sell more consistently. Like I have a whole bunch of, they're out of camera now, these guys, but this is for Amazon that I'm working on getting set up. Those, you know, it's nice because I do have orders every once in a while pop in from them. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do anything. I can just put it in a box and we're good to go. So that's nice. Let's see here. Mission Off-Road, don't tell her I told you to get the AMS, but I do think it is a worthwhile investment. Hello, Mellow Torch. Mellow Torch, I was wondering if you were ever worried about posting your ideas online if someone's stealing them. I feel like it's always my biggest worry, and right now stopping me from making 3D printed content. Yeah, it is a concern. People can steal your ideas. My suggestion has always been to not understand that ideas aren't yours. And what I mean by that is ideas come and go. And if you don't take action on that idea, somebody else is going to be. Like maybe you're one of those people, I know I've had this in my life, where it's like you had a business idea and you tried to execute it or ran into a couple roadblocks and took a break from it and then came back, and 2 years later a company comes out and there's this massive hit product, which is that thing. And you're like, really? I had that same idea, right? I'm sure everyone's had that. So the idea is not unique to you, right? It's just who first executes on the idea. The reason I always say you should do your own 3D modeling is because that's one of the ways that will make you unique. A lot of the competition in the market right now, especially in the 3D printing space, is not doing their own designs. And there's actually a lot of designers as well who aren't doing their own printing and selling. So you have this weird economy of basically drop manufacturing. I don't know. I don't want to try to coin a term here, but you have people, you know, just licensing someone else's ideas to print and sell. But then you just get a lot of people doing that. And it's, you know, like the little toys. Actually, Danson 3D Prints does that. And they do it very, very well. So, I mean, I would never want to compete with Danson 3D Prints. But for me, I don't have to, right? Because I can do my own thing. Now, if somebody comes in and steals my idea, right? Because I have seen some people do copycat ideas. I will just make a new product and make it better, or just completely move on from it entirely and compete in a different space. And then again, they would have to copy me again. But I think as the brand grows, if people understand that you're the one providing the original value in the long run, they'll come to you instead of going to the people providing a potentially inferior or copycat product. So that's part of the long-term branding piece of it. Let's see here. But Mello, the one thing the last piece I'll say to that is don't let the fear stop you from doing it, because if you don't do it, then you'll never find out if it was going to work or not. Yeah, Maddie, made by ZB, thanks. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just like, it's fun to chat with everybody doing the same, you know, business and whatnot. Yeah, ideas are not yours. All right, I'm gonna watch for more questions, but I'm gonna start doodling here. Let's see if I can actually get this to work. I think I need to refresh the page. Give me just a second here. Oh, it worked. Okay, cool. So I normally don't use this app, but we'll go ahead and try it out. So for my little tape dispenser thing, the current version I have has like the tape roll here. Can you guys see that? Hold on a second. I think there's a lag period. There's like a double lag period. Is it not going to show up? Oh, there we go. Weird. All right, well, we're going to use the pen. Sorry for some technical difficulties. I might need to use a different tablet for next time. Maybe it's because... All right. So my different tape holder has like a spool here, and then it's kind of got this nice like curve to it with the cutting blade. And then it's got two flares that go out, and you can mount it here. So this is kind of like really rough sketch. But I think it gets the picture across. Now, what I think would be cool is to have the same form factor a little bit for the tape holder, but for the big tape. And that's where it gets a little tricky because I did try scaling it, but it really just blows it out into like a space that doesn't make any sense. And there we go. There it is for you guys, so you can actually see what's going on there. Sorry, I'm experimenting. One more thing. I just refreshed it. It should be there. I'll just try refreshing it every time I start talking about it. Now, the thing that I think you can buy online has like a handle, and then it kind of wraps around, right? Because those are the big like industrial ones that I see for packaging stuff. So the question is, can I take that design and then mount it on the wall? Probably. So to start, let's figure out, we need a handle. So we'll make that easy. We'll need the tape roll. And then a piece that goes off to the side. And yes, some people have asked me about my creative design process, and it is this rough, especially when I'm getting ideas down. So it's probably going to look really gnarly as we're going along, but this is part of the even understanding if a shape's going to work. Now, when it's on the wall, that's another consideration. I'm going to switch to the ink here. When it's on the wall, we probably want, oh, sorry, and this also needs a knife blade, but we'll get that in a second. We've got the tape roll. I wish it would update live for you guys, but that's okay. Do a little handle, so there's an angle to consider there. And we've got the mount. So this is where it would be inset. Also thinking about how you would mount it as you go along. So probably some screws. I'm always about the screws. This could also be good for pegboard actually too. So I'll have to think about that as maybe an STL file. And then the cutting arm, you know, we'll probably want it flat. So the knife blade right there. So I think this is going to be a multi-component piece for the print. And I still don't think it's showing up for you guys. Oh, there we go. Maybe I still have to be hovering over it. Either way. So something like this right there. And then you could slide this in and out and use it as the handle. So it's very similar to, like, if I just go and do, let's go to Google. I love typing Google into Google and do tape dispenser packing and see what Google's got. Yeah, so something like that. Something like that. But I really don't like that. But that is kind of what I'm looking at for this design. But then you can wall mount it. So that's kind of the idea that I need to noodle on some. But I would like it to have the same form factor as my previous design that I had, which would be pretty cool. So that's going to be in the works. I'm going to let that pause and look for some more questions here. Mello, I do own 3D modeling, and I also do electronics for product, and I feel I have so much more knowledge. Yeah, if you have the electronics, like I did one project with electronics, I would leverage that. The only tricky part I found with electronics is the assembly for the products. It's quite a long way to sell via internet. Unfortunately, there are many people who want to make fast money. Patience is probably the most important thing. Yes, patience is definitely the most important thing when actually starting any business, for sure. Brenner, hello. Glad you're here. Let's see, check in. You need to use some force to cut the tape. If so, the mount holder is wobbly, really bad for user. So actually, let me show you a close-up. Let me move this big thing of boxes. If you didn't know, my video this weekend is going to be about redoing my printer's space, where they're actually stored. So that will be interesting, and I would say follow along so you can get some updates on that as it comes out. But that will be a fun project because I need to fit 4 P1Ss over there. I do not have 4 P1Ss, and I will not be immediately buying 4 P1Ss. But just to get ahead of the game, I'm going to reorganize that space. And also that's going to help me get into reorganizing a lot of other things in the shop because I have, it looks fairly organized, but it is a disaster in here for my own requirements. And it's getting kind of tricky to move around. I constantly have to move boxes and stuff. So I'd like some storage spots for boxes and some of my additional packing material now that I kind of have a groove on what packing material I need to use. Okay, so here's, sorry, I'm getting a piece of tape. Here is the other one. Oh, it's single focus right now. Bam. So here's the other tape dispenser, the one that I was just drawing. Wall mount. Now, I designed these serrated teeth, and I'll be honest, they work fairly good. So something like this would be definitely cool to include on there. And, you know, it doesn't take any extra time, right? You just put it into the design and it can print. The one issue, and again, going back to the AMS and even why I got the P1S, it is why I got the P1S because this was not a design that I could actually do on my small A1 just because it was too big. But all right, Soccer Star, what am I making? I would like to take my little design for my tape dispenser and upgrade it to be used for packing tape or like painter's tape and stuff. But for a twist, I don't want it to just be wall mounted. I want it to also be something I can pull off the wall and use to pack, you know, bigger boxes, because that would be really inconvenient to have to pull the whole tape roll off. So that's the idea. That's what I'm kind of tinkering with and wanting to design. Let's see here. Kay Schaefer, have you considered ordering the Centauri carbons at $2.99? I have considered it. Frankly, it'd actually be kind of nice if they reached out to me. I've not. I've had some other people reach out about 3D printers, and I've not taken any yet because I really only want to accept sponsorship opportunities like that for products that I think would bring value to you guys, or that I personally believe in. And I think the Centauri Carbon may be one of those printers, but it's also really early on, right? Like, so I don't want to give too much weight to a product that's been untested, and that's kind of why I stuck with Bamboo. It was, when I started, it was either Bamboo or Prusa. Those were the two that I was looking at getting into, and I obviously went with Bamboo. Dizzle says, building out my print farm at the moment and getting to the point where learning 3D design is next in line. No idea which way I should go. Blender, Tinkercad, etc. What do you use and why? I use Shaper 3D because it is fast, clean, and efficient. The downside with Shaper 3D is they cost money. So it is like $40 a month or $300 for the year for Shaper 3D. It's just what it is. For me, it's just a business expense. I've also looked at Fusion, but if you're just starting out, let's answer that question. I would honestly go and look at Blender, probably. Blender is a good option for 3D modeling. And Mike says it again. He said plasticity last time. Yeah, plasticity is also a good option. I believe it's got a trial, and then there's a one-time purchase, which I do like. Really do like those one-time purchase products. and it's Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not parametric, is it? It's solid modeling, but it's not parametric. I think that's what it is. And the two differences, right? So solid modeling is like when you have like a cube, it is like a solid container. I don't know how to explain it, but like the program sees that as like an actual volume. Whereas if you're doing mesh modeling, which is what Blender is, it is, it's just the walls. Now you can export it and it prints fine and whatnot. Oh, Mike, parametric. Parametric, this is going to be the big two considerations, and why one of the other reasons why I use Shaper is Shaper is not a full parametric software, but they've added parametric features in to where it's like pretty good. It's not as good as something like Fusion or Onshape, but parametric allows you to add variables, and also every time you make a change, whether it's an extrusion, a fillet, a boolean, or any of those types of things, it basically creates a list of those, and at any point you can go back into the model and change either the values of those changes you made, like the extrusions or the fillets, or you can update the sketches that you used as well, and it will populate those changes through the entire model. So the way I designed one of my products recently, because I've been trying to get better at my own software that I use, is using the parametric features and the variables. So if somebody orders a different size, instead of having to remodel it, all I get to do is click the size of it and it will update the whole model. Super cool. That is why I think if you're getting into functional printing, parametric. If you're getting into organic or like more like fun, I guess both are fun. Fun's not the right word. Like if you were doing like a dice tower for board games and wanted like a cool castle like look to it, Blender's a better option for you. That's great. Yeah, and there really is no the non-parametric software. I don't want to like phrase it as you shouldn't use that. The non-parametric software is fantastic. Excels at what it does for mesh-based modeling. If you need to make a change to your design, you're likely going to have to redesign most of the product. That's the only difference. But there's also less learning curve to those types of softwares. Another good one that I used to use before it got locked away, for better words, was SketchUp. SketchUp was like the first 3D modeling software that I really got into, and it was free at the time when I think Google owned it. But now Autodesk owns it, and you have to have a login and all this other wacky stuff, so not nearly as good. 3D King, hi, welcome. Glad you are here. All right. I will continue to watch for questions as we go along here and fix my mic so it's not stabbing me in the chest. And we'll see if I can do a couple little more sketches while we're chatting. And maybe I can get my window over as well. Site can't be reached. There we go. Let's see. What am I cooking? I'm cooking up ideas is what I'm cooking. So we're thinking of a tape dispenser holder that you can use similar to this guy, but not nearly as ugly. Granted, see, that's the other thing that's kind of funny too, is like when thinking about product design, you could just go buy this. It doesn't look expensive. It's $14. There's some, 20 bucks or something like that. Probably a good option, but sometimes you can look at these other products and then determine, is there some type of creative twist that you can put on it, or sometimes it just is nice to have something that looks nicer too. So that is also an option. You can take something that's ugly but functional and turn it into something that's pretty and functional. That's another cool way to design products and a good experiment just for design in general. Martine, I'm going to keep saying your name like that. I'm so sorry. Make your current one bigger and make sure you can lower it into the fixed holder. Kind of an eye that gets smaller, and you should be able to attach a kind of stick. Yeah, something like that. I think that is kind of what we're going for. This is very similar to what I'm going for. Let me move this stuff down here. Oh, I can't. See, I told you I don't use this app very much for drawing. Usually I use a different one. But anyway, I think the tricky part is going to be, number one, another thing I need to note is the measurement of the interior piece. Sometimes these vary, so I need to do a little research on that. But we've got this centerpiece. That can be hollow, or what Uline did is they just had a rod. It looks like they had a piece of it, and then they had a rod going through. Now, clearly can't do that with 3D printing because that would be too weak and it would probably snap. But I could do like a half moon. That would save some material. So I kind of like that idea. Let me draw that in there. Could do a half moon. And then we could have the cutting blade out here. And then for the handle, I guess it's a question of like, what's the angle? That seems a little too steep. Something like this. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Now the other consideration is it's like so far off of the wall. Like I try to keep things pretty compact against the wall because yeah, it's nice to have it off the bench. Now you see why I got the business name when I originally started. But I also like to keep things near the wall, off the bench and near the wall, so that way I have my space. So that will have to be a consideration. Right now, this layout that I'm doing up in the top area seems pretty chunky, to be honest. And then I would need that connecting piece that goes between them. I don't know if I like that either. See, just experimenting with forms. This is, I've had people ask me, can you show me your design process? And I'll tell you what, guys, the hardest videos for me to film is honestly me designing products. Number one, it's hard to talk and do this, but it's also hard to showcase this because of like most of it's in my brain. So I will try to show these in a future video or like this type of process, but it's honestly really hard just because you're really going through just a bunch of junk in your brain to get out all the bad ideas. That looks like an old-timey gun from the pirate times. Looks like straight up looks like a gun. Probably shouldn't say that on YouTube. It looks like a revolver from pirate times or something. Okay. Let me answer some questions. What's the long-term goal for the business? Short answer is support my family. Long answer is I want to be a product designer who focuses on just like coming up with really weird and unique solutions that I can design, find a way to manufacture, and then sell those online. Now the selling, I actually wouldn't mind eventually having somebody else, whether that's somebody I have hired long term or somebody else manufacture my parts, and then I actually do all of the design work, and I just become a design studio and do some consulting and working and collaborating with other people. That would be cool. In the short term, and to get me to that point, I'm also doing manufacturing for others. So that is pretty cool. And Mike, yes, you just asked the question. Absolutely would be open to considering partnering. I have actually some other partnerships I'm working with. I don't know if you're on the live stream at that point that I will be sharing a little later in the month, or maybe June. Once those partnerships really get the ball rolling, that we're doing 3D printing stuff together, which is cool. And yes, on a project, depends what it is, but absolutely, I've got your email, so I'll shoot you an email. Let's see here. Other questions here are, oh, and then Brenner, last piece of that is YouTube. I think being on YouTube is fun. I've tried to make YouTube channels for years, so it's just kind of, this is the one that took off. But again, I think this platform is going to be important for me long term. Dizzle, I believe I watched a recent video of yours where you stated where you letting Etsy run wild with your ad spend to see how it performs. Do you utilize any other advertising mediums? At the moment, I do not. I think TikTok would probably be another good option, but I do not have my TikTok shop set up at this time. And will, I don't know, maybe do it, get there at that point. Cool, Mike. I'll shoot you an email actually later this afternoon. The trick with advertising, to be really honest, is you don't know how it's going to perform. That sounds stupid, and you're like, of course, that's why you do advertising. But it can be really a money sink for your business. And small business, I think, really needs to be wary of advertising. So if you're doing advertising, the reason why I'm doing it on Etsy is because they already have a base of customers who are looking to buy. So like, right, if someone goes to Etsy, their only reason they're going to Etsy is because they want to look to buy something. And because of that, you know, that's also why I'm okay with paying Etsy so much extra in fees, because I'm utilizing their platform to get their customer base. That's why I use Etsy, and it's very easy. But because of that, advertising works slightly different on their platform because the people searching for their products and products on their platform are potentially going to buy. I mean, that's what they're there for. When you're advertising on Shopify or on YouTube or on Instagram, you're not engaging with somebody in the time frame to which they are ready to buy. And actually, let me give you an example here. Again, I'll draw it out. This is something I need to draw. The sales funnel is really important. And this is what my entire career before getting laid off a few months ago, not a few months ago, man, it was only like 6 weeks ago, is the sales funnel. So let me draw it. That's a really narrow funnel, but I guess I need the space. We're going to chunk it into that many areas. So when we're talking about sales funnels, right, and talking about advertising, we have customer buys, right? So that's the bottom of the funnel. They convert, they turn into a customer. This is where the money's at. Fantastic. This usually happens on your website or on my Etsy shop or on maybe your TikTok shop. I know some platforms you can buy right directly in there. This is where the money's at, right? And then it's your job to follow up with those customers. Right before that, we have a stage called consideration. And this phase right here is when people already have intent to buy something, but maybe they don't know which thing or which brand or person or product to buy specifically. So they're looking and doing basically searches online to buy something that they're already interested in. This is where Etsy ads fit in, because people are searching, like let's say my tape dispenser, right? So they're looking for tape holders or wall mount office organization or something like that, right? Where this product could come up. They're in the consideration phase of the sales funnel and likely to buy. This is what we call paid search advertising. Everybody here is getting a free marketing lesson. This is honestly what, it's funny that I'm even doing this, but this is where if you're going to spend any money in advertising, this is where it should be, because you're getting ads in front of people who are most likely to buy now rather than later. And this is where you should start. So this is Etsy ads. Also, this is, I'm not recommending this, but if you're like in a service-based industry that does, and you also see it with a lot of software as a service companies, YouTube, or not YouTube, sorry, Google ads. And it's actually specifically PPC ads. But anyway, for you guys and for I think everybody here, really Etsy ads are going to be that key one. When we're talking about Shopify and TikTok and all that stuff, what we are looking at is engagement and awareness. Shopify, or sorry, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, which is also Facebook ads, all of those fall somewhere into this category. You're either sending it to somebody who's never heard of you and you are trying to build awareness for your product, or that person maybe knows a little bit about you, and now they want to engage with your brand. The tricky thing with this funnel is that when we put it on a scale of cost, it becomes increasingly more expensive to get those ads out there and get that person to convert. And if you capture somebody in the awareness phase where they don't know anything about you, it will take considerable more effort to drive that person down the sales funnel, because they still have to do these other steps to even buy from you. You might get a one-off sale where someone sees your ad and instantly goes, I want to buy that. But for the most part, you have to drive them through this sales funnel to buy. And it takes a lot of money to build the awareness, to drive engagement and consider it, and then for them to consider and buy from you. So if you have a little bit of money and a little bit of space to do ads, I'd say really focus in on this section for your business. The nice thing with social media platforms like YouTube is you can do these things for free with social media. So like this live stream is free awareness, it is free engagement, right? Again, you guys are most likely not my customer, but that's what this is, right? It's exactly those two pieces of the puzzle. So that's why I always say focus on marketing, not advertising. Sorry, that was the long-winded side, but I decided to pull out all of my skills that I've learned for the last 8 years, 10 years, and put them down for you guys. So anyway, that's the sales stuff. That's really a lot in depth, but I figured it was worthwhile saying. Jonathan says, hello, can I ask you what filament type you use? I'm worried that selling PLA products, they warp if placed in a window behind direct sunlight, for example. I sell all PLA matte products. I don't use anything else. I've considered using PETG, but I've not done that yet because I don't have a filament dryer or any way to maintain moisture levels with filament. I have a fairly dry basement to begin with, and the AMS unit now helps because it's enclosed, but it is, yeah, I would say I don't necessarily sell products that are designed for outside. That's not my focus. And if someone decides to blast it on a window sill, getting full sunlight all day, I will take the chance of needing to replace that product rather than anything else. And I will say, temperature-wise, it still takes a lot of heat to warp something. I mean, it really does. Unless you're like putting it absolutely in direct sunlight, or the other one is if you leave it in your car, cars get so hot that will also warp it. But cars are like basically a little furnace outside. So don't use it. Don't sell products that go in cars unless you're using PETG. Don't sell products that go outside, essentially. But I think you'd probably be okay if you sold a PLA product that sat on a window. The best way to test it would be print it off and put it on your window for a few weeks and see what happens. Probably wouldn't even take a few weeks to find out if it works or not. Do you think you need a handle for the tape holder like those on the red Scotch tape dispenser? Probably. Probably do. I think another cool solution though, instead of the handle, would be make like a handle that you just grip on the side, because you don't need the full handle, right? You just need something here and then it can roll. So I think I'm gonna maybe make like an internal built-in handle. That would be different, right? Thinking differently. So again, that's why doing all these mock-ups and stuff is important as you brainstorm products. 3D King, I grew fast to 8K followers. I did, and then it's been super slow. It's just how YouTube works. For a little while there, I was kind of bummed out, but I think it's okay, because as long as I can continue to provide value for you guys, like that's why I started doing these videos in the first place. I was never even expecting to get to 8K to begin with. So I'll take what I can get, and that's great. At 10,000 subs, though, I will say, I do plan on launching some sort of Patreon or something for everybody. I haven't really said anything about that, but I'll tell all of you here, and trying to find some extra ways to bring value for people, or get maybe direct communication with me in some way to help them on a one-to-one basis. So that will be in the works, but who knows? 10K could be a long ways off. I actually don't know. Dizzle, excellent points, thank you. And yeah, I've seen some wild stuff on ad spend. A few years ago, I saw drop shipping guys. I'm so glad you called that out. Making serious bank, but we're regular spending $2,000 on ads to get $2,500. Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is a lot of people online who like to talk about business and say, I made $500,000 in, or in 6 months or something stupid like that. What they're not telling you is they spent 90% of that $500,000 on ads, and they actually broke even or lost money. And their business is YouTube, to make clickbaity YouTube videos. So, I've always seen those and kind of chuckled at them because I've worked in the advertising industry my entire career. So I knew that was not true. And there was also nothing unique about it, right? Because they were drop shipping somebody else's product. Again, if things were that easy, everybody would be doing it. Let's see here. If only magnets were strong enough, you could magnets to hold it up on the wall and still be functional. Yeah, that would take a really strong magnet, so probably a little bit too much. Now you could make a combo, right, where you have a ledge that it mounts onto the wall. You really do it like, I have a ledge. This is a coat hook where it mounts onto the wall, and then magnets embedded in that, and the ledge keeps it from. I'm doing a horrible job of explaining this, but it keeps it from falling off. And the pressure, you could design it so that the pressure was actually on the ledge piece. So as you pulled down and ripped the tape, that's where the pressure was. But then the magnets just kept it, against the wall. I kind of like that idea. That would also provide some extra value. It would be cool. Bello, watch all your videos. Yeah, appreciate it. I do think I found a little niche, and it's quite a fun one, to be honest. Z223, hey, how's it going? How's it going, my man? Welcome to the stream. We have 9 minutes left in the stream before I get to go back and hang out with my kid. So ask questions away. Here's another question for you. Have you considered using influencers, large or small, to showcase products to help brand awareness? Yes. One of the guy I've partnered with over in the EU does that exceptionally well. And I'm learning how to do that. It's a little bit different. And honestly, I think my advertising piece, I'm starting to build out a marketing plan for putting video and product video out on Instagram, not on YouTube, but on Instagram. And we'll see how that goes. But I think that's probably the platform I will lean into for maybe building those influencer connections and sending product to. But we'll go forward with that. I think that is probably the right way to go. 3D King Hawk, how do I get ideas? I stare at things and be bored for a little while. I say that jokingly because we all are very squirrely and on our phones all the time. But I think if you do have an idea, and you stop and let yourself be bored and think about it for a little while, and build that muscle memory, brain memory or muscle memory, doing that, I think it would be a good way for you to learn how to do that process. I guess it's tricky because I think the more you do it, the better, easier it gets. But yeah, just write them down as they come. Sometimes I look at things like I don't have a lid on my trash can right now. It broke. It's a really stupid example, but that really bothers me, and it will bother me up to a point. So far, it's been fine. And it's been that way for a long time. But there are other problems that have become so annoying for myself that I just have to solve it. And that's where some of my ideas come in. And a lot of my ideas come that way. Is I'm like, this is so irritating. I've dealt with it for so long. I can't, I'm fed up with it. So I'm just going to design a product that solves the problem. And I can guarantee you, if you have that problem, somebody else on this planet does as well, which means there's a product that you can sell. And that's kind of the cool thing. And then the other thing, which, sorry, I'm elaborating a lot on this idea. I just train of thought here. The cool thing about 3D printing, why I think it's so unique and why I use it for producing products, is we live in a really unique time where I can come up with a one-off product idea that I think somebody else could use, and I can have 500 people, which I haven't even sold 500 of these units yet, but 500 people can buy this product. and I can make some money and they can benefit and we can all share that creativity and benefit each other. But I don't have to invest tens of thousands of dollars for molding, injection molding, a manufacturer to run that part for me, and then shipping and facilitating all that. That's why 3D printing is so cool. You can have these really tiny ideas that will maybe only ever get 1,000 sales, but still bring value to you and others, and you're able to make them real. So that's cool. Let's see here. Other question, do you exclusively use Bamboo filaments or use other brands? Right now I exclusively use Bamboo. I do order other brands like Polymaker, and I've done Elegoo off of Amazon. Amazon is kind of my backstop. So if I like run out, or I have like somebody say, hey, I need a special color, are you willing to accommodate? And I say yes, I pull that filament from Amazon. And then if I think that color will sell in the future, I'll order it on Bamboo. There really is no best solution. It's just having the AMS unit with Bamboo and staying in their ecosystem makes it a little easier. So yeah, there is that. But not impartial. There are some filament makers in the US, which is kind of cool, and I've thought about reaching out to them to try out some of their filaments. What time zone? I'm on the Eastern time zone. Any chance you could do these brainstorm live sessions after work hours? Maybe, maybe. I can't say yes to that because it really comes down to scheduling and raising a kid. So maybe. Yeah, 1,000 sales is massive, right? But if you could get there, and when I say 1,000 sales, I mean like lifetime sales of a product, not within like a year or something. Obadiah, no one likes 3D printing. There are times that all of us don't like 3D printing. I can tell you that much. All right, chicken legs and ankles. I will see you. And Mr. Beast fan, we can all be cordial. Everyone can be cordial in here. Yeah, 3D printing is tricky. I will say, no, we should not ban anybody. Everybody can have an opinion. I will say, when I started in 3D printing back in like 2017, no, 2015, I had a 3D printer. Actually, I'm not going to show you. I'd have to find it again. But I mean, it was brutal. The 3D prints were not great. It didn't look good. It was a hassle. I constantly had to fix things. So yeah, that was interesting. And back then there was a reason, like, 3D printing had a reputation. But Clayton from Aloha from Hawaii, Ahu, that is so cool. I love Hawaii. I've only been there once, but it's definitely a special place. But I feel, yeah, it's definitely a special place. I try to get my fill in from watching the North Shore, all of the guys surfing out there on the North Shore. That is super fun to watch. I've only surfed once, kind of a bummer, but maybe one day I'll get back out on the water. Chicken legs and ankles, plastics are developed and they're becoming metal-like. Ooh, that's cool. I know they have the carbon filaments, which make them potentially stronger, carbon reinforced, but yeah, there's definitely some new material properties. What I would like to see, now PLA is technically plant-based, but I would like to see more of that type of stuff for sustainability reasons long-term. Hence why I've also kept all of my misprints too, because I want to send them in to get recycled, but I have to pay to send that over to these companies. See you later, Dizzle and Mello. Nice seeing you. All right, guys, we've got time for like maybe one or two more questions here, and then we're gonna wrap this up. And just as you know, the 3D printing app is actually part of my tablet, just because I think it's pretty interesting. All right, time for one more question. If not, just as reminders, next week's live stream will be around the same time. And I will be putting that out for everybody, probably 3 p.m. If I expect 3 p.m. Eastern, and if I need to change it, I will let everybody know. And then next video is going to be out this weekend as I basically pull out all of the area where my 3D printers currently are and try to design and make room for P1Ss. So that will be cool. And then let's see, can you please have your streams, can I please have your, streams are going to be saved as well. So if you miss anything, you can go back and watch that. Let's see here. Can I make my own tricolor filament? I don't actually know if you can do that. Appreciate that, Gugas Sequaria. I think I pronounced it wrong. If I didn't, I'm sorry. And then last one, do you have a list of the camera equipment? Yeah, Dizzle, all of my the camera equipment and actually a lot of the other things I use in the shop are in the descriptions of my YouTube videos, not the live stream, but if you click onto one of my other YouTube videos, that will be there and you can see it all down below. FYI, those are affiliate links. So if you do buy anything, it does help the channel out. Cool. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate being here. If you have other questions, feel free to ask them either on this video or on the next video coming out this weekend. I will talk to everybody soon and see you guys.